This is the part about making cute amigurumi that I always have to stop and think about. No matter how many times I've made a project, which this one I've made probably 100 times by now, and it's still, I can't get it right on the first try. I use my best-selling plushie, I've talked about it before, in my made to order section of my Etsy shop. I get a couple of orders for these at least a month, which may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but for a small shop like me, this is like my reoccurring revenue. I have most of this pattern memorized. I can fly through these a lot quicker than I did on, you know, the first couple of rounds. But every time I go to place the eyes, I just have such trouble. And part of the reason why is because I use such big eyes on such like a small plushie and small yarn. This is Loops Threads Skinny Chenille from Michaels, and it is a weight 4 yarn. It's chenille, it's nice and soft. I use between a 3 and a 3.5 millimeter hook. Today I'm using a 3.5 millimeter clover hook, which is my favorite hook. I highly recommend. If you haven't found your favorite hook yet, I recommend picking up one of these and trying it out. It's amazing. I love it. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm always so rude. My name's Betty and I design crochet patterns and make cozy projects like this all the time. If you're enjoying this, you are so welcome to stick around. But I do use 18 millimeter kawaii style sinker eyes, and that's the problem. So the eyes themselves are sinker eyes. What you can't tell is how much of this yarn around it is going to get sucked up into the plush. That is where my problem lies, because every time I place these eyes, it seems like I get a different distance between the eyes. Even when I count the stitches and try to be really precise from MEW to MEW, I've written it down before. This is how many stitches you put between like the actual entry holes that you can see like underneath. And even when I did that, the eye distance was still different. And I think part of that has to do with tension, part of that has to do with stuffing, and then like just however the yarn decides to behave that day. Yarn truly has a mind of its own. And I guess part of my hesitance too is that the backs on these are actually pretty thick. The post is pretty tough to get through the MEW when I'm putting them in. So even when I'm trying to be super precise on which hole or which like in-between space these eyes are going into, the in-between space is quite small, of course, because I want my plushies to look like very seamless and very professional. So I try to keep my tension pretty tight, so that makes the hole pretty small. The backs are pretty big because these are big old googly eyes. It makes getting them back out for adjustment like pretty difficult. Just find myself like having like a lot of like hesitancy, and then of course like putting the backs on. Once the back's on, those are pretty much not coming off. I mean, I've seen people where they will, you know, misplace their eyes or put their eyes on the back of the head or something, like, you know, some reason they need to take the eyes out. And I've seen them cut the plushie open to get the eyes out, and then somehow they get the backings off, but I don't really know how they're doing that. So like if you have tips, share with the class, please, because I have no idea. I've never successfully done that. I actually did try to do that in another video and I couldn't do it, so I ended up just tossing the eyes. But I did reuse the plush. Even once I get to the point where like they're both inside the head, I kind of don't even like repositioning them at this part, because pulling them back out and putting them back in, it's possible and it's doable, but I do risk damaging the yarn just because of those in-between spaces. So if I'm way off, like if I was just putting them in willy-nilly and then I need to move it, that hole would be like super visible. But I mean, I guess that's the part of being a handmade maker, right? Like at some point you just have to trust the process and put it on. So I'm gonna get out my handy dandy piece of wood and we will get these on. And the reason I do this on a block of wood is because my desk is composite. It's like, it's from Ikea, it's not real wood. So it actually will dent with the force of my eyes. I actually do have dents underneath my desk. Those were fairly easy to get on this time. All right, that looks about right to me, but they almost always look different once it's stuffed. And as you can see, let me see if I can get you a glance of the inside. There's like next to no space in there, so I actually do have to use tweezers to get some stuffing between the eyes so that the nose doesn't look like just super pointed and as if he went to a surgeon. But it looks pretty good to me now, so let's see when he's all done how he ends up looking. And I forgot about this order. I got so distracted with some videos that I had already agreed to and needed to get posted over on my Instagram that I forgot this order came in, and I'm so glad I remembered. Technically, I still have about 5 days in my lead time, but I didn't change it after Christmas. So right now I have about a 10-day lead time. So I really do need to get this out today. So I'm gonna get it packed up, I'm gonna get it in the car, and I'm gonna go drop it off because we're actually also expecting a storm tomorrow that might delay things. So I need to get this going as quick as possible because it's likely gonna get delayed at some point because the whole like southern part of the United States is expecting this catastrophic snowstorm. So please have me in your thoughts and prayers that this order gets to its destination. So I did go back in and one of the backings wasn't completely secured, so I popped it off and I moved the eye over just a little bit, and I think it's looking pretty cute. I kind of do wish they were more close together now, but he is all ready to be packed up. I got his tail sewn on, his ears sewn on.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Oops. I got his tail and ears sewn on, and I went ahead and pinned his little feet down, and I think he's looking so cute. I need to get him packed up so he can head off to his destination. He's going to Arizona. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I finished up this order to send out. Hopefully this storm isn't too bad and that all the predictions are wrong, but we will see. If you are also in the path of the storm, what cozy projects are you going to be working on? I am going to be finishing off these little cakes, which actually there will be a video about out soon, so be on the lookout for that. All right, guys, thanks. Okay, bye.